Welcome to The Aspiring Kryptonians, a podcast for Superman fans, hosted by Superman fans and focused around all things, you guessed it, Superman. After all, we are aspiring Kryptonians. From comics, TV, film and animation, each week we discuss our thoughts on the latest releases, news and even some retrospective reviews. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Aspiring Kryptonians podcast with me, Tasmin, and the rest of the team, Ashley and Evan.
Hello.
This week we're going to discuss Superman and Lois episode 11, Action Comics 1032, Superman 32, and Batman Superman 19. But before we get into the comics and TV series, Superman Returns just celebrated its 15th anniversary this week, which I can't believe. It's gone so quick. But yeah, I thought we'd discuss our initial thoughts on the film.
Okay. It's a polarizing one, isn't it, really? You get a lot of people that love it. You get a lot of people that hate it. There's that little minority that kind of like, they're either way about it. But one thing I think we can all agree on is Brandon Routh nailed it.
Yes.
As
Agreed.
Clark Kent and Superman, in my opinion.
Yeah. Agree.
I think I prefer his Clark Kent to his Superman, but they're both very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, that film has a bit of a special place in my heart because, yeah, it does have its flaws, and I think that's mostly because they're trying to copy the Christopher Reeve kind of era, which obviously wasn't in that era. But yeah, like I said, Brandon's a great Superman, and this is the film that really got me into collecting Superman because before that there was no merchandise really other than comics and the classic sort of old school toys that you got from the Christopher Reeve films. But yeah, the merchandise for this film was epic. It was everywhere, and I started picking up the odd piece, and then it got crazily out of control, as you can see.
That's great. That's a great little story. I mean, It's so nice to reminisce on the thing that started it, the spark that started the passion. So that's wonderful. It's funny because this film gets criticized a lot because there's really no violence in it. There's no punching per se. There's no real action. There's no combat. And obviously, Man of Steel kind of took that criticism and dialed it up to 10, and even that got criticised.
Yeah, that's it. You can't do any right, can you? You can't do any right.
No.
You gotta strike the balance.
Yeah,
exactly.
But, yeah, I love this film too. It's got a special place in my heart because this came out when I was like 16, so I was like super into the behind the scenes production and everything. I think I've mentioned this before. Like, I followed all the blogs, the podcasts, the videos that Bryan Singer was releasing, and like I was on this forum, and like they would get anytime any little minutia of a set clip would come out, like here's a picture of the Metropolis street signs. Save it on my computer. I got it.
Yeah.
And I have the Superman Returns Captain Crunch, the front of that box, which was awesome because
I think I've got those too.
It turned your milk blue. So you had
Wow.
red shields, the yellow Captain Crunch, and then the blue milk. So it was like all Superman colors. So cool.
You have much better cereal than we do. We have like Shredders and Weetabix, like the basic.
We have like the cereal aisle. Like It's ridiculous. It's like Netflix for cereals.
I'm jealous.
So much content.
This is the first Superman film that I saw in cinemas as well, and I think I went to see it 3 times. As soon as I saw the trailer, I was a little bit obsessed with Brandon Routh.
He was great.
Yeah, and me and my cousin just kept going back to watch it.
I remember when the first trailer came out, and it was striking. Everybody immediately noticed Superman's hair is moving when he's flying. Like you can see the wind going through his hair, and it's like a detail you never thought about before when you're watching Christopher Reeve or George Reeve. But then when you see it, you're like, oh, duh, that makes it look way better because it's more realistic.
Not to mention, it had some really iconic Superman moments, even though there wasn't like a lot of action and a lot of fighting. The moments where there were action, it was pretty damn good. Like the plane sequence for starters.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is when that guy's shooting the revolver, and then he gets his handgun out and shoots him in the eye, and it doesn't even flinch. I love that moment. And I don't know about you, but I really want.
Go ahead.
I really wanted to see where the whole Superboy story was going to go.
Yeah. I kind of felt that the plot was a little bit flimsy. Old Lex Luthor, going for land again. Who wanted to live on that? That bit of real estate looked dreadful.
Exactly.
It was traveling to and from the mainland is going to be next to impossible for a good few years. One of the criticisms that I had about the film was, at the very beginning, I hate it when films rely on other media to fill you in. And Superman Returns definitely starts that way, because I think you had to read the prequel comic, to really get a grip or grasp of how the movie started, because Superman's been gone for a while, and he returns, and he's in that gorgeous kind of space exosuit kind of thing that like Tony Stark wears under the Iron Man armor. Where did he go? What was he doing? And I just felt that maybe was a bit of a hindrance for the more casual viewer.
I know there was a comic, but I've never read it.
They cut out the scene because they had a scene with him on, like, in the spaceship exploring Krypton, and you can see that online now. They've released it. But that would have gone a long way into explain. I'm like, you kept some parts in, but you took that part out. The really cool part where the spaceship going,
the story setter. I knew there was a comic, but I assumed, because usually they come out after the film, don't they? Just as an extra little bit of merchandise. So, but I've never read it, so I didn't know that it kind of set the film up.
I was under the impression it did, but I mean, Evan, I didn't know that about that scene they cut. So that's fascinating.
I know I've read those comics at one point, or at least one of them. I can't remember anything about them, but I do like the covers, though. The covers are very nice.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the supporting cast that were in Superman Returns? Perry and Lois and Lex, of course.
I love Perry. I think he's a great Perry.
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen is great, I think, in this. Is it Sam Worthington who played Jimmy Olsen? He was great.
Yeah.
Lois Lane is probably the worst Lois Lane for me, I think.
Disagree.
No?
I thought she did a great job, Kate Bosworth. But I thought Perry was a little too subdued for me. Like, I feel like this is when he's almost at retirement age and he's taken some like blood thinners or something, or some antidepressants, and it's like he's just a little
mellow Perry.
He doesn't yell like when the thing comes down, like when he says "Great Caesar's Ghost," he's like "Great Caesar's Ghost." Like, okay, but Jimmy was perfect. He was absolutely perfect, and I thought Kevin Spacey did a great job as Lex Luthor.
I did.
Yes, agreed. He played it very classically, didn't he? He wasn't so much. I didn't think he was evil in it. I thought he was more perhaps maniacal, let's say. But then I suppose he did get very grim at the end, didn't he? When he stabbed him and
he was
like,
Kryptonite Shank.
When he's talking to Lois, she's like, when he's talking to Lois, she's like, "You're gonna kill millions of people." He's like, "No, billions." That's pretty evil.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And he is subject to the best line from the film, which the little boy says. He just looks at him and is like, "You're bald."
I thought he was going to say the one where he's like, "Go on, say it."
That bit's good.
Yeah,
love that part. That's great.
He
did have the best dialogue in the whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else is in there.
Marlon Brando.
Briefly, kind of.
Parker Posey.
Yeah,
she played.
I can never remember her name.
His girlfriend.
Yeah,
his current girlfriend.
Kitty? Is it Kitty?
I think it's Kitty. Yeah.
Yeah, she was great in it. Tottering around, being bait for Superman.
Yeah,
I thought she was wonderful in it. To be fair, she was good.
Yeah, I like the bit where she. Oh, go on.
Go ahead.
I like the bit where they plan to fake the brakes in the car going out, and then she runs up to Lex Luthor and slaps him, but she really, really slaps him. I love that bit.
Yeah, and I can't believe it. We're forgetting Cyclops himself.
Yeah.
Scott Marsden was in this thing. He actually quit, or not quit, but kind of cut his role on X-Men short to be in this thing.
Yep.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh.
And Marvel
That's why he's
fans
hardly in.
Probably didn't pay off though, did it? For him.
no.
He's not like a big. Well, he's a big character, but he's not huge. I feel sorry for him in this
No.
film because he's kind of. Do you know what I mean? He's like caught in the middle of this already existing relationship, which is just a bit awkward.
Yeah. I mean, I would have done the same thing if I was him. You know, I'm in X-Men. I'm a lead character in X-Men, but I get to be in a Superman movie.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
You know, especially when there was, you know, they were wanting this to spin off into a franchise and be multiples.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and
That's
X-Men did do him dirty, didn't he? I mean, he wasn't really our Cyclops. I mean, I'm a huge Cyclops guy, and to keep being overshadowed by Wolverine every 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, that's how it is in the comic books, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I get a bit more of a sense of heavy as the head that wears the crown with Cyclops in the comics, but yeah. To and fro in.
But yeah, I'm just. Well, I've been sad since 2006, but yeah, the fact that we haven't got any sort of not resolution, but I just wanted to see where the whole Superboy thing went or was going to go, because it seems like a huge thing to just throw in at the end, like the bit where he's got the piano, isn't he? And he just pushes it in front of that. Well, pushes it to that guy.
Yeah.
Seems like a big drop for nothing to happen with it.
Yeah, and it's a funny status quo change, really, because it's not so much Clark Kent's son; it's Superman's son.
Yeah.
To Lois, which I think is always fascinating, especially as we're moving on and on and on, and we're obviously really mining and cultivating the relationship between this family. You know, either in the TV show or in the comics, they are a unit, and it was to look back on it and they're not that unit. It's weird.
Yeah. And he had all those health problems, didn't he? But really, that was probably down to the fact that he's not human.
Yeah.
Or not fully human.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's very interesting that they chose to do an homage to the Christopher Reeve movies. And I think in some ways it was great. In some ways it was a detriment to the movie because, you know, you're trying to pay all this homage. And like, so you have to acknowledge Superman 1 and 2, which means that the memory erasing kiss is canon for this. It's like, okay.
Skull was great. Skull was great in this, I remember. I remember seeing the trailer, and they played, obviously, Planet Krypton from the Superman original movie, and that just set the scene for me, I thought.
Yeah, I listened to the soundtrack ad nauseum, and I just know the whole thing by heart.
See, now when I watch a film, I pay attention to the score, but back then I didn't really pay attention that much. So I think, well, actually, I watched it the other day and I didn't really pay attention again. So I need to go back and watch it and really pay attention to the score. But I like the opening scenes, which is like it's from the original Superman the movie, all the effects and stuff like that. That was pretty cool.
It's a shame though, because I do feel that was it a bit of a hindrance to Brandon Routh's career?
A little.
Was it? Because
I mean, no, because he had done like nothing before that. Like, he was in Gilmore Girls as an extra, and then this is like now he's Superman. So it did put him on the map as somebody you could hire, but it didn't really go anywhere after that too much.
But he must have got the DC Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow gig from that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He was
I
in
think
Scott
that only comes
Pilgrim.
with time. You know, I think like with Michael Keaton, obviously he had to like work a lot of stuff out for himself in terms of Batman and, you know, trying to distance himself from it. It's only, I feel like after that prolonged spell where you come to terms with the legacy you've created and, you know, that was what put you on the map and that's what perhaps you'll always be remembered for. So with time, I think that was definitely beneficial for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he got a lot of stick from the film as well, because a lot of Superman fans didn't really like it, and they don't really shy away from the hate, do they? Sometimes.
Well, I think for the majority, even the people who didn't like it liked him in the role.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he didn't get too much flack for it.
Yeah, I'm sure I read somewhere that it was sort of an interview of how he dealt with the criticism and the hate from that. It must have been that film, because I don't think people would be criticizing him as an extra in Gilmore Girls and stuff, but you never know.
Yeah,
But anyway, we digress. We also started up a Patreon last week, for those that don't know. So it's basically a subscription service to our podcast where you pay a monthly fee to help support us and our podcast, and in return you get exclusive benefits. So we'll go into the ins and outs of that later on, but I just wanted to give a quick mention to it now in case you stop listening at some point throughout the episode. And we also have merchandise, which you can probably see on my shelf here, which we'll also talk about at the end. And you'll only see it if you watch it on the YouTube channel, so check it out. Okay, so should we start with Superman and Lois?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So episode 11, which was titled A Brief Reminiscence in Between Cataclysmic I knew I was going to do that. Cataclysmic Events, which is quite a mouthful to say for an episode title, I have to say. And just to note from here, we're going to be discussing spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, please hit pause now. But yeah, this episode was pretty much half a flashback, and sort of towards the end, we saw what was really going on and why we were seeing all of these flashbacks. But to start with, we'll start with the flashbacks, because for me, they made the episode for me. So what were your initial thoughts?
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed that they interstitch the original flashback that we saw in the first episode, and they just added to those, like they extended the scenes and added new scenes. I thought that was cool. I love it when they do that stuff. Like, and I bet you, because I bet you they did not film all these scenes and then just pick pieces of it for the first episode. I bet you they went back and replicated those things.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, because I've been listening to an Office podcast about The Office, and they did that a couple of times when they had to do flashbacks to certain scenes, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy that you completely had to recreate this scene a second time just for this flashback. So it's really interesting to think about that. But they did a great job, and I personally like Perry White in this flashback better than Superman Returns.
I guess we'll go through each flashback scene, shall we? Because there's quite a few different moments. Yeah. Well, key moments, I think. So the first one is where the fortress is created. So I love the moment where it came out of the ground, and it really reminded me of the scene from Superman the movie where I think it was Jeff East when he was Clark Kent, and he is hiking to find it. But the young Clark in Superman and Lois is wearing pretty much the same as what he was wearing in the film, which was quite nice. But
100%.
Yeah. I think, Evan, in your review, you had something to say about the design of
It's the same thing I say every time we bring up the fortress. This is the one part of this show that I do not like and drives me crazy. And it's just that you have the alien technology, and what does it do? It makes rocks come out of the ground. Not even alien crystal rocks, just rocks. And they kind of make a cave, not a structure, a cave thing with one technology slot for your crystal so it can project one hologram. And we've seen the fortress do other stuff like shoot heat beams and whatnot, but there's no way you can tell that it's and maybe they put thought into that design, because maybe it's like, oh, Arctic explorers find this cave and they won't be able to tell it's the Fortress of Solitude because they don't have the crystal key. I guess that's a neat way to look at it, but I don't like it. I want there to be the big golden door and the giant key. You know what I'm saying? But at least do the alien crystal palace thing. Come on.
But yeah, I thought initially, because that's obviously when it was created, I thought maybe they'd create it and it would be a hollow cave like it is, and then you can put a nice little sofa in there, little picture or something, decorate. Don't just leave it like
Superman, some furniture. Come on.
Yeah.
He's supposed to stand the whole time.
I mean, because when you read the comics, he's got obviously like a menagerie and like the interstellar zoo with all the rare and exotic and endangered creatures in it and whatnot, and like the weapons room. I think they featured that in Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. So I get what you're saying. He's definitely decked it out over the years.
In Supergirl, he's got the weapons chamber and Kellex and the Phantom Zone portal, and that set was amazing. Just use that one.
Alex.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. I hope they're listening to this show.
I'll tag them. Yeah, and Tyler's first flight really, I'm going to call them by the actor's name, but Tyler's first flight really reminded me of Henry Cavill's one in Man of Steel, which was really nice. Like, even the moments where he's smiling, he's going off sort of course a little bit. That was great. But it seems like they're just trying to pay homage to every or many incarnations of Superman, which is quite nice, because obviously different eras of Superman fans have different favorites and likes and dislikes when it comes to the character, which was quite cool. It was also really nice to see him grow up with these flashbacks, because we got to see how close his relationship was with Martha, which we did. Obviously, we saw it at the beginning, but not so much. Go on.
This is another part I wish they wouldn't have done. And it's not. It's not the parts with Martha, but just that, like, it's. I've had this problem with the Donner films forever. He goes to the Fortress of Solitude and he stays there for like a decade getting homeschooled, you know, and then he comes back. Like, how are you supposed to connect with humanity? What do you do about your mom who's still counting on you after her husband has died? You have no other human contact in 10 years, and you're supposed to like be a well-adjusted person when you come back into society. So I just didn't like the 10-year homeschooling session with Jor-El, but I haven't liked that since the first one, so whatever.
I don't really think that comes with age, though, doesn't it? I don't think, like, when you see that for the first time, a lot of us, obviously our age group, we saw it when we were kids and you just absorbed it. But like, you're so right. When you actually do look upon it now with, you know, more, you know, vintage eyes, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously he went after those 10 years. He went back to Smallville and just expected everything to be exactly the same. Like, he went to go meet Lana, wasn't it, and found out that she was engaged, which was sad. But he's been gone for 10 years.
Yep. Didn't write. Didn't call.
But I do like that Mark Kent made his suit. I always like it when he makes it. And I like that she left the chest blank, and she's like, oh, something needs to go there.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That always reminds me of Dean Kane's Adventures of Superman. I always remember her making that suit.
And he's got all the different, he's trying on all the different types, isn't he? I love that.
Yeah, love that
too. Well, I like what you said, Tasmin, where it's blank and we don't know what to put there, but he just found the family crest at the fortress, and now he knows what he should put there.
Slots in perfectly. We also got like you say, it's expanding on the mini scenes that we saw in the first episode, but we got the full story with regards to the rescue involving the Action Comics #1 homage and the Fleischer costume we got to see again, which I love it. And we also got to see him change in a phone booth, which I can't remember the last time I saw that.
That was rough.
Yeah.
It was
that wasn't the best looking effect in the show. No. Into the phone booth, but I like that they did it. I just, of all the effects in the show so far, I think this one was the most CW-ish.
Yeah, I think so too. And
I think the Fleischer suit, I think the addition of the Fleischer suit was so genius to really make this show stand out from the rest. I mean, it's never been seen in live action before, in recent times. Yeah. And it looks beautiful. It looks fantastic. I'd love to go to an exhibition and see that behind the case. It's beautiful. And it really does tell the shows apart.
Yeah.
And I like how he also lied to that woman's face as well when she's like, oh, Superman's done this, and he's like, what like, question is like, who's the guy? Did you see what he looked like? And I was like, it was you.
Well, that's what Superman does. I always tell the truth, except every day when I don't.
He never lies except to your face every day.
Well, he would say Superman never lies. He can't say the same for Clark Kent.
True.
Yeah.
So it was just nice to see all these different flashbacks. I think that was all of them, was it? Oh, and obviously the next bit, which is where sort of Clark meets Lois for the first time, which I I really liked their version of events, because usually we see Lois falling for Superman and she's very shallow and she's mean to Clark because he's not as muscular or fantastic as Superman. So I really like that they flipped it around and it was the other way around, and she was like turning down Superman for Clark.
Yeah, great.
I thought it was very interesting because she doesn't even have even an initial attraction to Superman, which is unheard of. You know, like in the comic books usually, or the modern comic books, it's usually she meets Superman first, and then she meets Clark Kent, and then slowly but surely Clark wins out over Superman just because he's there and he's thoughtful and whatnot. But yeah, they didn't even touch on that at all.
No.
Very refreshing.
Yeah, I like that. And also, I think his name's Atom Man, isn't it? Yeah. So he's like the neo-Nazi villain from Superman Smashes the Klan. He's also the villain that brings them together in this episode, which was quite nice. And it's the same design from that series as well. I think is that the first time we've seen him?
He, I believe, appeared in like a George Reeves special, but it was a different costume design. But I believe it's the same sort of character. Yeah. But yeah, they took the design straight from Superman Smashes the Klan. I thought that was cool. That you took. That's one of my favorite comic series.
Really good. Yeah, one of the best comics of last year, definitely.
So they're taking inspiration from everywhere at the moment.
That's it.
Mean, you know,
well, it's interesting because Superman Smashes the Klan, he wears the Fleischer suit in that.
Yeah, of course.
So I wonder if that wasn't a big inspiration for this show. Pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good point. And maybe they're kind of. This is the thing now, because I've seen these flashbacks, I want more flashbacks rather than the story that's currently happening.
Rough.
So I'd be quite happy if series 2 was just flashbacks, like a different era of his life in like each episode, like all the different teachings and learning his powers, his adventures, and I'm sure he's gone through a few different costumes.
Arrow nailed it, didn't they?
Yeah.
They what?
Arrow nailed the flashback sequences. I thought the way that they intertwined it with the current story. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that they did. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say I really liked the Perry White interview process in this one. Thought it was very good, very different, because like he's not gonna get the job. And unlike in the movie where he's like, he's the fastest typist ever and he's hired. In this one, he's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna hire you. Wait, please hire me. All right, but you got to do my laundry. He's like, deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to see more of the flashbacks. I think they're really cool. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, you can see all these different eras, and there's based on the things that they've already included from other things like the Superman Smashes the Klan, Superman the movie, Man of Steel and stuff. There's just so much that they could do, like just to please fans, I guess.
Yeah.
But I do like how they intertwine those flashbacks in the story as well. That was really clever, because I was thinking, even though I was enjoying it, I was like, okay, is this just going to be a full flashback episode? Like, what is the purpose of this? And I think they nailed it. And yeah,
what did you guys think of no Jimmy Olsen and no Cat Grant?
Oh,
because they are established characters in Supergirl, and they would have been there at the Daily Planet with Lois and Clark. I wish we would have either referenced them, if not cameoed them.
I mean, like they could be out in the field or on an assignment, something along those lines. Just that little bit of continuity, Yeah, good point. I didn't notice that.
I didn't either.
Because I liked it when in Supergirl, when Cat Grant talks about Lois and Clark, when she mentions them back at the Daily Planet, and she hates Lois, but she is really attracted to Clark and wants to steal him from Lois. It's so funny.
Yeah, maybe they'll reference that going forward, because I guess they were probably trying to just pinpoint the key moments in his life, because obviously when it comes to the real story as to what's really going on, Morgan Edge is kind of reading his mind with this device thing, isn't he? So maybe they're focusing on the key aspects. I don't know. But yeah, so now Morgan Edge, I I keep forgetting his Kryptonian name.
Talro.
Yeah,
Trevor. So he now knows who Superman's family is, and he knows his secret identity. So he goes straight for it, and threatens Superman with his family, obviously trying to get him to join his Kryptonian League army kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved when Jordan stepped forward to try and stop him from hurting his family, because obviously there's a clear difference in experience between the two, and he just went straight for it. That was cool.
Yeah, I was getting worried for a second because, like, I mean, he's just gonna laser Lois to death.
Yeah,
comes in there. So,
but even Jonathan stepped forward as well. I think obviously before they started doing the heat vision, and obviously he has no powers at all, so that was more impressive.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan's always more impressive. Let's be honest.
Fair enough.
But yeah, nice cliffhanger ending though. Like it's a feasible way for John Henry Irons' prophecy to come true.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Especially if there's brainwashing technology involved.
Yeah, but don't you think Superman submitted very easily? Because he literally got there and then he was just like, fine, okay, you got me.
Well, what else is he going to do in that situation? I mean, he's super weak. Talro could have torn through him and just killed his family, and he wouldn't have been able to do much about it. So it's like,
I guess
I can buy time here. Who knows if he figured on the brainwashing thing happening? You know.
And Talro has kind of set the scene. He is, like you said, he has just gone straight for it. There's no kind of messing about or like any maniacal scheming. He's just, he's going for it. So
yeah. I don't know. I just thought it just seemed very quick for him to be like, okay, I'll come with you.
I think he was playing it smart. I think he's using his brain on this one since he's already been. I mean, they fought in the fortress already, and he got beat.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, learning on the job.
Yeah, maybe he's got something up his sleeve with regards to the brainwashing, but it doesn't really feel like that's going to be the case if the prophecies are going to come true, which they got to kind of play it out at some point, haven't they? They've kind of teased it, and that's where the story's heading. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So onto the comics then. Should we start with Action Comics 1032?
Sure.
I think we should. Got it right here.
Nice. So it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and well, first of all, we'll talk about the covers because I loved both of them for this one. The standard one is by Mikhail Yanin, and the variant is by Julian Totino Tedesco. I just love saying his name. That's the one name I get every time.
You do it so well, and I'm glad you do it.
But out of the two, the variant one was my favorite, I have to say. I love how it's sort of black and white, and then you've just got the emblem that's in color, which was really, really cool. Anything about the covers you guys want to shout out?
I'm always a fan of a cover telling the story. Actually featuring what happens in the book, and the regular cover really does. I mean, this is straight from the interior, so I love it. And Michael Janin's artwork, so good. I loved him way back when he was doing Batman with Tom King, and he's just excelling at the moment, big time.
I'm always a sucker for awesome camera angles in covers, and the fact that the camera is inside the monster's mouth is awesome. So awesome.
Yeah, that was very cool. So in this issue, we find out more about this potentially Kryptonian refugee who is named Thaular. So she's escaped from her. She's not really in a cell, is she? She's kind of just held up somewhere, and she has destroyed Kellex, which I thought was a little bit harsh.
He always comes back.
I know, but still. But it does kind of add more complications for Superman and obviously the surrounding characters or supporting characters. So usually they turn to Kellex for like information, translation, and whatever. But obviously they can't utilize that now, and they've got a real difficult situation on their hands, and they're going to have to find different means of communication, which I think is quite cool, even though the murder of Kellex was rather harsh.
Yeah, this book, this issue could have been a silent issue with one line in it, and it's "You never came." That cut me to the core, and you can see in Superman's facial expressions. This could have been a silent issue with just that. For me, that cut me deep, because it's Superman's biggest, it's the thing that makes him most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Not being around for everyone, being in a certain place and someone else, getting hurt when he's not there, and it was I kind of had her saying it in my head. I could kind of hear her voice and Superman's expression. It was powerful, very powerful.
So we finally start to learn about her history and her capabilities, which I thought was quite intriguing. I really like her as a character so far. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to learn more about her at some point, but yeah, so far so good. But there was a little moment where she kind of lost it and she burst into some sort of, is it ice vision or some sort of vision that she hurt Superman with?
Looks like blue heat vision to me. So that's obviously the hottest form of heat vision.
I don't know why, because it was blue. I was like, it's ice.
Is blue fire hotter than white fire? I can't ever remember.
I have no idea.
Blue is the hottest.
I don't know. But I love how Lois just goes straight in there to console her, despite the obvious danger. Because Lois obviously doesn't know what she's like. Doesn't know her background, where she comes from, what makes her tick. So that was very brave of Lois, which I really liked.
Superman comes across very vulnerable in this issue. I thought, he doesn't know how to approach this young lady. He tried to take the chains off of her. That was a big no. He even acknowledged it himself. It's too soon. He feels like he's already lost her trust, and obviously he's like passing the baton over to Lois. He's already made a rapport, made a connection with her. So very, very emotional, really emotional.
Lois gets her time to shine as well as like a hero. By doing that.
I love the part where he goes and asks Batman for advice. And like Batman's kind of mad that he's there, and because he wants to do it himself, and Superman just floating next to him. I'm not helping. I'm just watching. So Batman's doing this car chase fight, and Superman could end it in like 2 seconds, but he just floats next to the car and talks with Batman while he's fighting off these guys. It was rain on Batman's parade. So funny.
This was gorgeous. This was a gorgeous splash page, though, wasn't it? It's like the colors, like you could feel the heat of the lights from the streets lighting up the night sky. This was just beautiful, and the silhouette of Batman as the guys firing a machine gun at him. Artwork is exquisite.
That's really good. So in this issue, we sort of find out that she's is it a Philosian, you said, Evan?
Philosian, yeah.
Philosian. Yeah. And so she says that there are countless others like her trapped and enslaved. So Superman, being Superman, is willing to do literally everything in his power to save them, despite not actually knowing if these stories are true or not, because this is the kind of conversation where I think he questions whether Mongel's dead, whether it's a trap, all this sort of stuff. So it doesn't discourage him at all, that's Superman all over, isn't it? But then obviously it's going to lead to some sort of chaos down the line, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been talking a few weeks now about sort of like the side of Superman where he kind of loses it and he's more like evil. I mean, we spoke about it when we was talking about Injustice. We spoke about it when we was talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League. We even talk about a heel turn in Lois and Superman. This right here, this is angry Superman. I can feel it. The knowledge that there could be potentially his people enslaved somewhere.
Well, it's her people, isn't it?
But like an offshoot of the Kryptonians. I mean, this can't come quick enough. The next issue for me.
And then, so Superman then heads to help Aquaman take on some kaiju-style monsters, which this page was my favorite in terms of artwork. I'm a kaiju fan. I love Godzilla. And of course, I'm a Superman fan. So this just combined all the three together. And seeing Superman I'm going to say it's Godzilla. It's not Godzilla, but it looks like him. He literally uppercuts Godzilla, which is just epic, and Daniel Sampieri and Adriana Lucas did it perfectly, and same for the entire issue. The artwork throughout is just incredible.
I love it when he just flies down the guy's throat. It's like, what are you planning to do in there? You know, and he like goes down there and finds the floating crystal thingy. Like, that was cool.
I really enjoyed Aquaman's commentary during this, because like Merc at every step or opportunity is like, Man of Steel, nah, he ain't nothing. And every turn, and Aquaman sticks by him every time. No, you wait and see. You wait and see. Loved that.
Yeah, that was good. And then just after that panel or page, Superman then goes deep underwater and finds this, I don't really know what it is. It's like a technological kind of thing which speaks to him. And Superman obviously figures out eventually that it's an illusion. But what do you think that's all about? Because I have no idea. Like, what does it mean? Who is it? How does it fit into the story arc?
Well, I think it's setting up the big bad. Because you've got some, I mean, wasn't this the thing that Mongol sent there with the fleet?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think
it was an artifact in one of the ships, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So either he did that on purpose, knowing that it's connected to something, or what, but it's connecting to some other villain, and it's apparently it's either a new villain that has a past that we don't know about because it said the thing is coming back, or it's a classic villain that maybe we haven't seen in a while. Yeah, that's going to come back. So,
because in the symbols, it shows the Kingdom Come Superman symbol. So
neat.
I'm going to need to look back on some of those other issues then with the artifacts and things, because I saw that page and I was like, what is this? What is this? There seems to be so much going on already. Obviously, we've got the War Zoons as well, who aren't in this issue, which I'm sure they're going to appear at some point. But yeah, there's a lot going on, and considering it's only sort of 3. No, I'm talking about the wrong comic book here. Never mind. I'm talking about Superman.
Many comics. Yeah.
Anything else to say on Action Comics?
No, just excited for the next issue.
I love it.
It's a neat pairing where it's like a ongoing Superman Aquaman team up. Don't usually see that. I like that.
Yeah. Again, I think I just think down to the artwork and the writing, this just feels like a big book.
Yeah.
It feels like an event series, like, the pomp and ceremony you get with like a big summer, crossover title. That's what this feels like. Yeah. Obviously, minus the 100 million tie-in issues. It feels big. It feels big, and I can't wait for the next issue.
Yeah. And there's also, I forgot to mention it, but there's also that potential war between the government and the Atlanteans.
Yes.
As Trevor kind of pops up at the end, which, like I said, there's so much going on, you just don't know where to focus, and you don't know how it's all going to come together, but I'm sure it will.
It was great seeing Steve Trevor back, because he was so integral during the New 52 run. I mean, he was one of the big characters of that, and he was obviously the liaison, being with Argus, and it's great to see him back. And it never goes well when Land and Atlantis start butting heads, does it?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to Batman Superman issue 19, which is written by Jean Luen Yang. So I think we have to talk about the covers here, because the standard cover is just impeccable. It's by Ivan Rice, and it's a Western theme featuring Superman and Batman as cowboys, which I love it. If you haven't seen it, and even if you don't read this series, just go and have a look at it, because it's so good.
Yeah, I remember seeing this a few months prior and just like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's peak Elseworlds from the 90s. It's just gorgeous, and the attention to detail with their costumes, keeping all the motifs in place and what have you. It's beautiful.
Love it. And also like the variant cover too, I thought that was pretty cool, which is by Greg Capullo, FCO Placina, and Jonathan Glapion. And I like the lighting and the stance of the superheroes on this. So I never tire of seeing that classic Superman emblem in today's comics. I don't know why, it just kind of hits different when you see it now, like in the comic today, not just looking at an old comic. But yeah, it's both good covers again. There's a lot of good covers this week. I think every single one is pretty damn strong.
Yeah, and Greg Capullo, I mean, he's just kind of like one of these creators now that's just gone to the next echelon. They are like, it's sort of like him, Donny Cates, Alan Silvestri. They're like rock stars. So it's like a privilege anytime they're gonna like step back and we get to see some of their artwork, you know.
Yeah. So in this one, Superman and Batman I've kind of taken this from your review, Ashley, because again, because I'm reading so many comics, like I get easily confused. So Superman and Batman from Earth Zero are trapped inside the Phantom Zone crystal thanks to Ota 10. And these Elseworld versions from the World of Night and the World of Tomorrow have to go and save them, pretty much. Is that right?
Yeah, that is exactly spot on. One of the things that I was initially a little bit disappointed with after so much continuity is the fact that they've changed artists for whatever reason. Ivan Race is probably a very busy man. And there was a couple of artists on the interior, but my goodness, they nailed it. They synchronized so well, and I hardly noticed the difference. But yeah, it's a great issue. We start off in a world called Atlanta. It's like a parody on the kind of Hawk world.
It's Ran.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ran, and Atlanta, I think, that's Adam Strange's wife in normal.
Right.
Yeah,
she's cool. I like her.
Yeah, everybody's got jetpacks.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of see Batman and Superman jump into different Earths because obviously they're jumping through the cells, and each Earth shows a different costume design for the pair, which I thought was really cool. And like for one issue, was that 3 different costumes, and the first one introduces, is it Atlanta? Because I've written Alana in my notes.
Alana.
But she's trying to arrest both Superman and Batman because she thinks that they've stolen the Phantom Zone crystal. And not only that, but they get attacked by huge worms, which Superman, I'm pretty sure he goes into the mouth of one of them.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what Robin said, but it made me laugh. I can't remember. But yeah, and then we see them go into the Western, which was my favorite part, I have to say.
Yeah.
And the artwork was phenomenal here. And I'm sure that the artistic team changed here because the difference between the two were just, you could tell, but I think because of the story and it's obviously a different Earth, it didn't matter because that's the whole point.
Yeah, I just thought the Western segment was just superb. I mean, so authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, a locomotive like steaming down the frontier. It's just all the tropes from Westerns, like the swashbuckling hero on the roof. And it was just, it was perfect. And like I said previously, like the costumes, the attention to detail, the landscape, impeccable. And as for the Alana segment as well, I really got a real Silver Age whimsical kind of feel to it. Like the scientist's father, he's created the weapon and he uses it, and it's like a weapon you've got to sit in, no less, you know, and things like that. It's really good. And like you, Tasmin, I love kaiju. I love big creatures, wrecking cities and whatnot. And it's kind of stated my appetite for all that kind of thing. So it was great.
Yeah. And I was glad that the Western sort of vibe was featured because I've seen the cover before, like you said, I think it was a few months before, and I was just worried that it was just going to appear on the cover and that it wasn't going to have anything to do with the story. So I'm glad that it was. What did you think, Evan, so far?
I do not like Westerns.
Oh.
Not even Tombstone?
I cannot stand the genre. I do not like it. So anytime you set something in a Western, I'm like, I tune out. So this one was okay. I did like that when they come out of the film cells, they're tiny. They're only as big as the film cells were. So I like that they're in the real world, they're tiny. And I like that the auteur is not like he's a person in distress. He's being controlled by a program or whatever. I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
We got a really nice origin story for him at the end. And it was very sort of Yeah, I flushed out the character a lot because he was beginning to get very complex at one point, you know. And I said in the review, he feels at this point like, you know, a big classic DC bad, like a crisis level kind of character, like a Anti-Monitor or like a even like a Darkseid in a way. He feels big, bombastic, and you know, universe potentially changing. Sure.
But I liked how he was also the train in that Western bit. That was really clever. I was like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
The imagination is just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And then we kind of saw his true face, because obviously what we've seen before isn't what he really looks like. And he's kind of like this, it's kind of like Gollum-like creature,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought.
a great analogy, yeah.
But yeah, right at the end, he sort of throws a plot twist, as he says himself, and releases the demon horde of the apocalypse, which, well, it ended on that note, so I'm sure we're going to get to see that in the next issue. But I'm looking to see where this sort of story goes from here. But there was news that it's been cut short. Did you hear that?
No.
No. Yeah. I'm so sad. It was so good. I can't believe it. It was such a good story, amazing art, and all the feedback that I've seen online, like from you guys, has been like really, really positive. But the series is ending with issue 22. So we've only got 3 issues left.
Well, that doesn't mean the story's getting cut short. It just means the series is over. So they have time to tie it up with a bow. And if they do it well, I'd be okay with it. But
I think it's actually going to be tied up in less than 3, because I've heard that the final issue is surrounding Mr. Mixtiplic.
Oh.
So, yeah. Well, I don't really know how it could be involved in this storyline, I guess, because, you know, anything can happen in this. But yeah, it seemed, from what I've read, it seemed like a completely different story, or just like a one-off issue.
It's a shame because this title, it's got like 2 really big names attached to it, the writer and the artist. You know, I mean, Ivan Rice has done some of the biggest books for DC, you know, Justice League, Green Lantern. And this felt like a really good, except Superman. This feels like a really good home for the pair. And I think they could have done some really wonderful things with it. It's a shame that it's been cut short.
Yeah, I thought so too. But anyway, last up on the comic catch-up front, Superman issue 32. This is the one that I was getting confused with, because obviously it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson as well. So I had to stop myself before, but we'll go all out. But the art's by Scott Godlewski and colours by Gabe Alteeb. Strong covers this week. I thought this issue had 3 covers. So the first one was by John Timms, which was excellent, where it's got Superman and Superboy going up against some huge monster. The first variant cover was by In Hayek Lee and shows Superman and Superboy ripping their shirts together, which was quite nice, because like father, like son. And it's very detailed, and I want to know if that hoodie is real, because if it is, I want it. It's a cool hoodie. And the second variant was for Pride, and I loved it. It was like a great pin-up piece by David Talaski. And it just, even though it's obviously a new piece of art, it just looks like it's been brought from history. Do you know what I mean? And Superman's kind of got the Pride flag over his shoulder in support of the LGBTQ plus community, which I thought was a nice gesture.
Yeah, I thought that was beautiful touch. I really do. I mean, Superman means so much to so many, and to show that he supports inclusivity. Beautiful. More of that, please.
So this issue delves into the history of the Thaquamites, and a little more in terms of how their alien race operate with regard to hierarchy and relationships and family, which I thought was really, really good. Like I think we've said it so many times before, with just 3 issues in this arc, Philip Kennedy, I'm going to call him PKJ because his name's a mouthful. PKJ has done some incredible world building in those 3 issues, like even just in this one at the start, where we get to know the Thaquamites. There's a lot of detail there. And then we also get to see John get his time to shine, which I loved. We kind of really got to explore his thinking and his capabilities, and also how confident he was in his dad, which I thought was lovely. Because they're kind of doubting it, like, oh, he's been taken over now by the shadow breed, and he's like, no, yeah. But this sort of issue was the moment where I really thought, oh, okay, this guy does have what it takes to be Superman.
Yeah. Well, they're not a nice. Well, I was going to say they're not a nice race. That's a bit harsh, but they're a race that definitely believe in iron sharpening iron, aren't they? As it's quoted in the comic, they are quite a hard race, and poor prince of said race, he's not about that life. He needs a softer touch. He needs a more caring, considered approach, and he finds it in his mentor. The name is kind of eluding me at the moment.
The green guy.
Yeah.
Is it something Obakis?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I can't remember the first name, but something.
No, Falder.
Somebody. He's a guy from another place.
Yeah.
Yes, but no. This is So it's. I like that we really mind their culture, and because we are. I was joking before. We are all different. There are lots of different races that believe in cultures, and even in sci-fi, that believe in certain things, like the Klingons believe in like the way of the warrior and so on and so forth, and things like that. And so yeah, it's nice to mine their culture and what have you. And Jonathan definitely steps up. It's pretty much Jonathan's title issue, really, because he really steps up, and yeah, it definitely ties into a lot of Jonathan stuff, like in the future state, where he's stepping up and becoming Superman. I feel these are the very formative steps on that process.
Yeah. What did you think, Evan?
I really like that we got to see more of the one who fell, and I like how again it's not a humanoid alien, but he's in a spacesuit, so it's a giant alien-looking alien in a alien-looking spacesuit, and it's probably just a corpse inside there being animated by whatever the dark force is. So I just think that was a neat way to do the bad guy, in a fun way to end this little 3-issue arc.
Yeah. I think in this story arc, it's clear that some of the themes are inspired by PKJ's relationship with his own son, which I think he said in the interview we did with him as well. But I think this story in particular is really this issue in particular is really going to resonate with other people that are parents and other fathers in particular. But yeah, the narration was really nice at the end, where he's kind of pumping John up into being Superman. That was really sweet. But yeah, the artwork, I love it again. It was really good.
Yeah. Very animated.
Yeah. And I think compared to, I know they're obviously two different titles, but because it's the same writer, you kind of compare it more. But between this and Action Comics, this one seems very cartoonistic, but it kind of works for this one. And I think whilst PKJ is really good at world building in terms of writing and creating all the sort of setting the scene, these guys are really good at world building in terms of character and atmosphere design, because it just looks so good.
Well, is he, so Philip Kennedy Johnson, is he in a short list of writers that have perhaps done Superman and Action simultaneously? I'm not too sure. Is many other writers done that, where they've taken on both comics at the same time?
I know there was Bendis, but I don't know.
I think maybe Dan Jurgens did at one point, but I think for the most part they've alternated writers for the titles.
I think that's very impressive. And like you say, Tasmin, he's on 2 books, same characters, but they feel so different.
Yeah.
And I think that must be very difficult to get out of a certain mindset. Even though you're in the same galaxy or you're in the same kind of sphere, you step out of it and you kind of approach it completely differently. I think that's bravo for that, because they do feel 2 totally different books.
Well, I think Bendis did that same thing, and I think one of the things that might help with that is that since they're writing for the trade or whatever, you've got these 3 issues obviously take place before the issues that are going in action. So he might just be writing this stuff linearly and then chopping it up and saying, okay, this part goes over here and this part goes over here. And then they'll number them different when they come out in the graphic novels. At least that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
I was doing it.
I definitely like, though, the contrast between, Jonathan and what he's going through and the prince as well. They've both, got these, these parents that are larger than life, have cultivated such a massive sort of legacy for themselves, and both feel that they can't attain the standards that have been set before them.
Yeah.
And, Superman is constantly encouraging Jonathan and, being, providing support. And then the prince is obviously not. Yeah. He's kind of just been completely thrown away. And the dad is kind of like, or the king is thinking like, you're going to take over. You're going to be overthrown in no time. And my name is going to be lost to history. So I do like that contrast as well. I think that's been really enjoyable. But
even with that contrast, it's nice that they've both still got the same mindset. Do you know what I mean? Because he comes and sort of saves the day towards the end, doesn't he? So
very much so.
He's still, despite, well, it's kind of like in Superman and Lois where you've got I can't remember his Kryptonian name again. Baby brain got Thal-Rel. So his upbringing was completely different, but he's obviously a very different character to Superman. He's got a very different mindset. Clearly, he's making a Kryptonian army to destroy God knows how many people. But this character, he has that different upbringing, but he still doesn't steer off from what he thinks
the righteous path.
Yeah. Which is nice. But this was a really great setup for Tom Taylor's takeover later this month for Superman, Son of Kal-El, which I'm really excited about. But this sort of mini story arc is, when you say someone's taken over as Superman, you're like, how can you can't take over Superman? He's such an iconic character. But this one kind of this story arc's given me a bit of confidence in John as Superman.
I prefer not to say takeover. I prefer to say filling in.
Filling in.
Filling in, yes.
Filling in.
Filling in. I feel like we're just saying filling in.
Yeah, no, I think Jonathan's going to be in great hands.
Yeah.
And, there is a point where sometimes you have to like inject fresh blood, and it's only right that, because that's one of the problems I have like a lot with Nightwing. Just to go on a little bit of a tangent quickly, like Nightwing's one of my favorite characters. But yeah, I don't feel he's ever really grown. He's never kind of got older. It feels he's always in the same kind of position as this kind of plucky kind of comeback kid. He's knocked down, but he comes back and with a quip. Whereas Superman, he's aged. You can feel this as an older Superman. And he has a child, and obviously he's been aged up, as opposed to just growing up. But it makes sense, and I like the fact that these characters are growing up with us. So.
Yeah. No. It was a really strong week. Well, a couple of weeks for comics, and so it was 1 week, wasn't it? Because there was no new comics or Superman comics last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So very strong. The face on Ashley. Very strong week in comics. But we'll stick with the theme of comics, but we'll go a little bit backwards, I'd say. So tell me what you've been reading for the past few weeks.
Well, I got to go and visit my dad down in Virginia, and he has a lot more graphic novels than I do, and I've read most of them. But so I went back and revisited a couple of Superman ones I hadn't read in a long time. One is Superman Godfall. Have you guys ever read that?
Yes.
By I can't remember who.
The late great Michael Turner on artwork.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so some great artwork in there. And basically what we were talking about earlier, where in the Action Comics where he's like, you never came for us. That's kind of, they touch on that in this, where Superman has he's neglected the city of Kandor. And not actively neglected it, because he set up Kelix and all these automated systems to keep it going while he's off doing other stuff. But so something goes wrong with the capsule, and it starts some time dilation. So it's only been like a year or so for Superman, but it's been a century for Kandor. And so Superman has faded into myth as a god, basically, because, you know, he's the big man in the sky who cares for them. But now he's seemingly abandoned them. And so this one girl in Kandor has superpowers and is able to get him to come there, and she brainwashes him into believing that he's always lived there and that he's still on Krypton and stuff. And she tries to take his place. She wants to become God. So she switches with him. And she grows big and she flies to Metropolis, and she's like, this is heaven, you know, like, but then she goes down there and like there's drunks on the street and whatever, and like it's dirty. She's like, this is supposed to be heaven, isn't it? Like, and she starts fighting, you know, Superman's villains, and she's like, I must pass the test. I must beat all these devils. So it's very interesting. They go into a lot of very interesting psychology there, and what people think about Superman and things, and he has to set things right. And like you said, it's very good looking art. You know, it's very stylized, very nice, and especially they design vehicles and clothes and stuff for Kandor, and it's incredible. It's just worth looking at. The art alone is worth it. So
yeah.
Well, that comic, if I recall, one of the main issues is that Superman just like he's sort of like leaning back on that Akira looking vehicle that he's got like a sort of a bike, and he's in that rad fantastic kind of costume suit thingy, leathers. I remember that cover and instantly being like, oh yeah.
I think I've got it somewhere. I haven't read it, but I've definitely that rings a bell from what you said with the leathers and stuff.
Very interesting seeing Superman on a bike, you know, and like he likes it because he can jump and feel like he's flying. And he's like, for some reason, I love this feeling of flying, because he's been brainwashed. And then the other thing I read while I was there is, or I read most of it, was Superman Birthright, which is another great retelling of Superman's origin story. I think this was in the mid to late 2000s, and it didn't last long in continuity, because like I feel like 3 or 4 years afterwards they replaced it with Secret Origin. But I really liked this one because of some of the changes they make. Like, instead of going to the fortress to have a decade-long homeschooling session with Jor-El, he takes a decade-long, you know, side trip to go and travel the world and become like an international journalist. Which makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to figure out his powers that way and try to help people in secret while he's doing journalism. So that part really stood out, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read bits of Birthright, but it was a long time ago, so I need to reread that. How about you, Ashley?
So I went back and I read Batman, Superman, Public Enemies, which was I read I reviewed Superman, Batman, was it 19, the latest issue. So I was like on a bit of a Batman Superman kick, so I thought, well, I've got the trade right there, and this was just like a fantastic, it's just brilliant, because everything about it, like the logo, Ed McGuinness's artwork, it felt fresh, it felt inviting. You know, you didn't need to be, wasn't bogged down in lots of continuity. It was just very reader friendly, a quick read as well. Fantastic. I absolutely love it. I love Ed McGuinness's artwork as well. So
yeah,
I remember reading a review for that one time, and somebody said that Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness are the kings of the one-page reveal, and yes, they. Yes, they are, because they keep coming to like the end of this thing, and like there's several times in the book where you get to the end of a page and people are like looking off panel, you know, to see what's there, and then you flip the page and it's just a full page spread of what they're looking at, and it's like, whoa!
And the covers for this series are just incredible. I mean, I remember some of them. I think there's like there's one where like Batman and Superman's in the shadows, and you can just see the emblem and the red eyes. And then there's one where it's like Hawkman and Shazam, and Batman and Superman, and it's the Fantastic series. It really is a series for the artists, I think, that one, because then, of course, the late, great Michael Turner, who done Godfall, does the next arc.
Yes. The opening pages for Public Enemy are so good, where it's like the first person perspective of little Superman and little Batman. So good. And I love the cover, or just the part in the story where Lex is in the giant Hulkbuster version of his armor. I love that. I have it. Do you see the action figure right over
yeah,
there?
yeah.
There he is. I love him.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, I haven't read that one, which is why I'm
Nice.
keeping stum. I haven't read it.
Oh, you haven't?
No. Which is why I'm not saying anything, but I'll read it when I'm about 80 years old, probably. Yeah. So
wait.
Oh, go on.
One more thing about that graphic novel. Guess who's in it?
Who?
Sandra Kane, Batgirl's in it.
Should have guessed.
So I like it even more.
No, I'm actually, because I've been writing the reading order ahead of what I'm reading, which is annoying because I keep seeing all these really good titles that I know are good based on what other people have said, like Public Enemy and stuff like that. So I just want to jump ship and start reading that, but I just trying to stick to my guns, which is really what to do. Yeah. But for me, so from the Superman reading order that I've been doing, there's a few that I really enjoyed, and I've got 2 issues left of 1956, and I'm pretty sure 1957 moves on to the Silver Age, so I'm quite excited to jump to a different era of comics, but not quite yet. So the first one is Superman issue 111. So this one's got 3 different stories, but it was the first story for me that I really enjoyed. So Superman brings Jimmy Olsen a souvenir for his Superman collection. First of all, I love that Jimmy Olsen has a Superman collection. It makes me feel normal.
Just like you.
Yeah. But annoyingly, I don't have Superman to come and bring me all of the souvenirs. I have to buy them myself, which is very expensive. But yeah, after testing or playing around with this alien technology, that they end up switching bodies. It's just, do you know what I mean? This is why I love this era of comics, because it's just it's so random. But also, as far as I can remember, this is the first time it's acknowledged that Superman actually helps around off planet. So this is the first mention of it. But yeah, it was just a really fun issue. So once they played around with it, they realized that they couldn't switch back for at least 12 hours. So they had to take on each other's duties, which obviously isn't great. So Jimmy was now Superman, and Superman was now Jimmy. So Superman, of course, is worried about Jimmy finding out about his secret identity, because in that moment when they switch, he's got his Clark Kent suit in his cape pocket. So first of all, I love that he has a cape pocket. I just don't understand how that works, but
they brought that back in modern comics.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a few moments where Jimmy kind of starts pulling it out, but then something happens and he has to go and obviously save the day, so he doesn't quite get to it. But Superman also sort of experiences things that he's never experienced before. So the cold, he's never cold, is he? So he experiences cold. So he's like wrapped up in coats and stuff. Someone accidentally tips coffee over him, so he feels pain for the first time, or that kind of pain. But it's just, yeah, I just like all those little things. It was a good story, a random story, but I feel like those are kind of the best kinds in that era anyway.
I just watched an episode of Superhero Girls with my daughter, and it's the first time Supergirl discovers kryptonite, and something hits her on the head. She's like, why does pain hurt so much? How do people live like this? That was so funny.
But you kind of think sort of, so at the end, Jimmy have those little gag and jokes at the end of pretty much every story in that era of comics. Jim is kind of like, oh, it must have sucked for you not having powers, and Superman's like, actually, it was really nice to experience all those things because I've never experienced it before. Which, yeah, it was a good issue. And the second one is Superman's Power, Jimmy Olsen, 18. There's a lot of Jimmy Olsen stories going around in this era. So again, it was the first story that I enjoyed from this issue. So Jimmy was tricked into buying a flute, which supposedly tamed wild animals. But little did he know the seller was a crook and actually bought the flute for like $1 in a shop and sold it to Jimmy for like $50. So he got done there. But due to chance, there's some moments where it looked like the flute worked. So Jim is at the zoo and he starts using it and the lion sort of lies down and he's like, oh, look, it works. So Jim is then offered a job collecting animals for the zoo. And he's sent to Africa to get lions and gorillas and things like that. And he obviously goes, but Superman isn't quite convinced. So he tags along with him too, of course. But Jimmy, being Jimmy, he doesn't believe Superman's suspicions because obviously Superman's telling him, look, it doesn't work. And he's just like, no, of course it works. Look, watch. So Superman goes undercover to teach him a lesson. And now I've never seen this before in my life, but this is the most undercover I've seen Superman. So he literally sticks loose animal hair that's been shed to his skin and carves a gorilla mask out of wood to scare some sense into Jimmy. It becomes a gorilla to scare him, and obviously Jimmy tries to tame him and is obviously not having any of it. But yeah, it wasn't a particularly exciting issue, but it was just really funny to see Superman go to those lengths to prove his theory to Jimmy. I thought that was pretty funny.
Nice. I did read one more comic. Or did you have one more?
No, that was it.
Oh, I did read one more comic that I forgot about, and I've started reading Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, because I love the covers because they're so ridiculous, and so I wanted to see if the stories inside matched. And so the one I read was when Lois goes to this college to visit. It's her alma mater, and she overhears this girl getting made fun of because she's like, you're really plain looking and nobody likes you and you'll never get a boyfriend. And so then Lois comes in and she's like, she does too have a boyfriend. Her boyfriend is Superman. And they're like, no, it's not. Yes, he is. They're secret lovers. And they're like, prove it. We will. Come back in an hour. So she gets Superman to come, and they're like, okay, Superman, here's what I want you to do. Pretend that you're secret lovers with this girl. And Superman's like, absolutely, of course I will. And so they start doing this charade. They like practice lines. They're like, and they like where he's gonna swoop in and she's like, oh, hello, boyfriend. And he's like, oh, I love you so much. And so they're practicing this stuff, and this girl in the dorm next door is listening through like the closet wall, and she's like, they're practicing. It's all fake, and I'm gonna reveal it to everybody. So they do this charade and whatever. And so the next time they're planning to do something to really convince them, Superman goes out and carves her face into a mountain. He goes and, and makes a diamond ring, and then he's gonna show up at the dance and ask her to marry him. And they're all like, she's probably gonna be dressed, really plain, and it's not gonna be great. So he makes her a dress out of pure gold from the Earth's core, and, stuff like that. How
wow.
And
making us mere mortals look really bad.
I know.
Yeah. So then that one girl who's listening has recorded them practicing, and she's got it on a record, and she's gonna play it at the dance. She's like, I've got proof. This is all fake. They're trying to trick us. And so she puts the record on there and puts it on there, and then the record instead plays audio of this girl who's trying to snitch, planning to snitch. And it's like a fake thing, like, I'll ruin their reputation and everyone will love me instead. She's like, wait, that's not what I recorded. And everybody turns against her, and they love the girl. And Superman's like, woo, it's a good thing that I could use my heat vision to short out that record player and use super ventriloquism to mimic that girl's voice perfectly and make the fake record. So it's like, wow, okay, nice.
There's a power I want to see used now, because it happens a lot in the golden age of comics, and I think a lot, and it's just ridiculous, isn't it? So I want to see it come back for at least one issue in a comic. I think that'll be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to, well, I think we've pretty much covered all of the topics in terms of TV and comics, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about our Patreon that we've set up. So as I mentioned before, it's a sort of subscription service whereby you pay a monthly fee to support us, and in return you get exclusive benefits from us. So we've set 2 goals which pretty much highlight what you'll be supporting us with. So the first one is the cost of the podcast, which includes like the podcast hosting site, Zoom, things like that. And the second one is the cost of the podcast and the website, which includes what I mentioned before, and also site hosting, domain name, and all of the other ins and outs that we have to pay for to keep this show running. In order for you to help us reach those goals, we've set up different tiers for you to choose from, and they are as follows. So just to note, you don't have to sign up for our Patreon. We're not forcing you to do it. We're still going to continue to create content for you guys regardless. But think of this as just sort of a helping hand for us. So first of all, we have the House of M, which is £2.50 per month. So with that subscription, you'll get added to our mailing list, so you never miss an episode or a post. You'll also get exclusive voting power for show topics and things like that, which will be done directly through Patreon. And you'll also get added to our Patreon exclusive Discord server, which is I'm new to it, so bear with me on Discord, but it's a fairly new form of social media where you can chat with us directly, and we're all on there. Next up, we have the House of Vex, which is £5 per month. So you get all of the items previously mentioned for the House of M in this membership, and you'll get a personalized shout out on each and every episode of the show, and you'll get a single-use discount code, which will give you 10% off our merchandise. We then have the House of Zod, which is £8 per month. So this will get you all of the benefits that I previously mentioned, but instead of a single-use code, it will be an unlimited code of discount, unlimited discount code of 10% off all merchandise. But not only that, you'll also get a personalized thank you from the team, and you'll also get to choose a topic for us to cover on the show. Ideally Superman related, but hey, you get to choose. So
nice.
We'll see. And last but certainly not least, the House of Al, which is £12.50 per month. So again, you'll get all of the benefits previously mentioned, but instead of getting a 10% discount unlimited, you'll get 15%. And you'll also get an invite to guest on an episode of the show with us. So just a little note on that benefit. You have to have subscribed to our Patreon for a minimum of 3 months to get that. So as soon as that's done, we'll then contact you and we'll get you on the show. But yeah, it can sound a little complicated because there's a lot of tiers and a lot of information that I've just reeled out there. So I've put a link in the episode description and also on the website, so you can see all the details in a much clearer format. And for those that
it's a lot clearer on the website.
Yeah. Just me murmuring on about all these different houses. For those that are already patrons, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and it truly is a huge help. One of which is Dave Owen, who is a proud member of the House of L. So Dave, thank you very much for supporting us, and like we said, we really appreciate it.
Very much so.
And not only that, but the site and the podcast also have new merchandise. So we've got some designs. I don't know if you can see them behind, but I'll just show you quickly. So we have the podcast mug.
And got our podcast logo on there.
And then, I'm sorry guys, but the other one's it's just me. We have stickers.
You want to stick Tasmin on stuff?
And a mug.
Yep, and just a Tasmin mug if you don't like me and Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah, there's options. If you don't like Ashley,
it's definitely the better looking out of the three of us. The best looking out of the three of us. So well with you.
But yeah, so we have other designs coming soon, but that's all I've managed to secure so far. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the quality so far. And if you're interested, they're currently listed on the website, which is Can't even speak. www.theaspiringkryptonian.com/shop. So, like I said, there's more designs to come, and this is where you'll be able to use your Patreon discount. So I'll keep you posted on the new designs that come in, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Anything for you guys to add before we end the show?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's listening. I love talking to my friends about Superman, and I love talking to you about Superman. And yeah, bring on those other subjects, because I'm reading all of them. I'm reading everything at the moment. So thank you.
Yes, and I echo that exact same sentiment. Thank you so much for listening and for supporting us. If you guys are on Patreon, thank you so much. That's a huge help. It's not free to host a podcast, so anything that you can give to help us out, it's a huge blessing. And lots of topics, whatever you want to talk about, let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm going to echo that and say thank you so much for listening and taking the time, and we'll see you next time for episode 14.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this episode and previous episodes in the podcast if you have done so. Remember, if you're enjoying the show so far, please do subscribe, share the podcast with a friend, and most importantly, leave us a review. It's those reviews that really help with our visibility and success, and it only takes you a few moments to leave one. As well as that, if you want to find out more about us, head over to our website www.theaspiringkryptonian.com, and if you want to follow us individually on social media, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube, so I'll drop those links in the episode description so you can get to know us a little bit better. A very quick shout out to some other very good Superman related podcasts and accounts that we love. The Last Sons of Krypton podcast, the Krypton Report podcast, and Adam Talking Superman over on Twitter. They have some really great Superman-centric discussions and are always dropping great Superman knowledge, so if you are looking for something similar to our show and our account, please be sure to check them out.